And I really gotta like cut my bangs, I think. This is like not great. The TLDR of this video is pretty simple. Why would anyone go back to a full-time day job that they didn't want? Like the rest of the world, I need money. It's actually a little more complicated than that, as you can imagine. I could go into how the Canadian economy is in a rough spot and that we're in a trade war with the US and everything is getting more expensive and that corporate greed is tearing apart the entertainment industry along with AI. But I'm sure you've heard enough of that. So instead, I'm going to tell you a story. And I will try to keep this short and sweet. Back in June of 2023, I was a starry-eyed young artist who had just graduated from college, eager to get a job in a field that I believed and was told was so bursting with opportunity. And while my eagerness was genuine, I was also just super tired from 3.5 years of college and a global pandemic for most of it. I only got to spend my last year of college on campus, and it kind of sucked because that's when I actually started to make friends. I also quit my job of 4 years and moved to a new town that was much smaller than the one I grew up in and also an hour and a half away. And even though I graduated with no student debt, thank the universe, and my parents, who are not wealthy people but put me through college regardless, so thank you very much. I was still broke, and I needed a job. And the animation industry that I was promised all throughout school just keeps ceasing to exist a little bit more and more. I am gonna upload another video in a couple of weeks on why so many entry-level jobs in the animation industry, but also the entertainment industry in general, are like ceasing to exist. So if you're a professional artist and you're in the entertainment industry, so consider subscribing to my channel to watch that video when it comes out if you want like a little bit more information on what the heck is going on. Because I'm researching and making that video because I want to know what the heck is going on. But for the context of this story, the middle class office job basically that I worked so hard for 3.5 years in college was becoming more and more inaccessible to entry-level applicants. So no animation jobs for me, at least not in the traditional sense, at least not at the time. And throughout college, my mom kept urging me to get a serving job because of the extra money it would make from tips. And finally, needing to pay my bills, I bit the bullet and I got a serving job. Unfortunately, this was the only serving job where I didn't make any tips. I don't want to get into the exact details of the job, but it was a serving job. I didn't make tips. I was paid a little bit more than minimum wage, which was the compensation for that not making tips. But this was my first full-time job, and it wasn't easy. So I stayed at this job for 9 months, and slowly the entry-level positions in the animation industry just kept seeming to decline, which was kind of heartbreaking, and it's still kind of heartbreaking. And with a full-time job, I had much less time to work on building a strong animation portfolio. And the correlation between not being able to find a job in the animation industry and having less time to actually work on art for my portfolio and just personal art started to make me feel like I was not good enough and probably would never be good enough to break into the animation industry. Even though people at my skill level had gotten jobs right out of school in the past, there must be something wrong with me. I'm just not good enough, is what I thought. So I started to get super discouraged and burnt out and depressed, even though I didn't really realize that's what was happening at the time. I feel like that's how most burnout looks in hindsight. So I reduced my hours at that full-time job, and then eventually I quit altogether. I was blaming that full-time job for my own frustration towards myself and the creative industry that I desperately wanted to be a part of. And it wasn't easy. So I went to another serving job after that for 4 months where I worked less hours, but I made tips. So I figured more money for less hours worked would free up more time for me to work on my animation, but would also earn me enough money to live on, right? And maybe it would have been better if I was actually working part-time hours every week and there were more customers coming through the door. And it wasn't easy, but I left that restaurant job to go to another restaurant job that I was at for a month. I made a full-time wage at this job because the tips were just so damn good, but it was a much faster paced environment that I was used to, and in hindsight, I don't think that particular work environment was going to be good for me. And eventually they fired me because I was not fast enough for their standards, which was not easy at all. And I didn't really come to terms with this until recently, but being fired from that job really shook my confidence in myself and my ability to do what I perceived was a pretty easy day job, and that I had been validated for in the past and I was told that I was good at in the past. And to just kind of be let go like that so unexpectedly was like really rattling to my like confidence. I had never been fired before this, so it was honestly quite a surprise. Looking back, maybe at this point with still no animation jobs that I was qualified for in sight, I should have gone back to a full-time day job. But that still felt like admitting defeat for like not getting into the industry that I wanted to be in. So I went to a serving adjacent job at a cafe because I always thought that I would like working at one, and it just seemed like a nicer environment. And I was totally right. I got a job at a local cafe where I got to make coffee and prep food, and it was just wonderful. I loved everything about it. I finally found a job where I could see myself being there for several years, where I worked on other projects like renovating a bus to live in and other short films, and it seemed like it was going to be good. So why did I go back to a full-time day job? The answer is pretty simple. It is impossible to live on minimum wage. Making the decision to leave a job that I really loved with coworkers that I really loved for a job that would actually support my lifestyle and my goals was probably the hardest decision I've had to make in the last few years. I've always known that being a professional artist and living the lifestyle that I wanted was going to be a lot of hard work, but I don't think I actually grasped what that looked like until now. I feel like I've been waiting for someone or something to come and save me, that golden job opportunity that's just gonna pop up on my LinkedIn one day that I'm gonna get, or that one illustration or animation that I'm gonna make that will make me feel like I'm so good and can create anything and I'll never doubt myself again. But that's not going to happen because there's no one coming to save me and there's no one coming to save you. I've always had the subconscious thought that the people I looked up to had done all the hard work already to get where they are, and now they're just riding easy. Which, yes, they have done the hard work to get to where they are, but that doesn't mean that the hard work stops. Maybe it gets easier, but there's always hard work that has to be done. There's always mistakes and challenges that are going to come up no matter what skill level you're at. Like heck, Miyazaki worked on The Boy and the Heron for 7 freaking years. And you think there's no problems or challenges that he faced in that process of making the movie? Of course, he's brilliant, but things are still hard. I know that working full-time and pursuing my own creative endeavors consistently is going to be super hard. I'm afraid that I'm not ready for it, and I'm afraid that I'm just gonna burn out and be depressed again. But I think that uncomfortable thrust into the unknown is what I need. And maybe it's what you need as well. And frankly, I'm a little bit disappointed in myself that it took me almost 2 years to figure that out. I definitely don't want to be at this job that I'm at currently for the rest of my life. So it's up to me to make my dreams into reality. And if you also hate your job, it is up to you to do what you want to do, because there is no one coming to save you. There are so many others that have full-time jobs and pursue their dreams on the side. So why should you or I be any different? Yes, everybody has their own capabilities and has their own resilience level, but sometimes that just doesn't matter. The sad truth is that there really isn't a lot of equity in trying to actually get to where you want to be. You know, unless you're a Nepo baby and daddy just pays for everything. But where's the merit in that? I don't get it. So do what you need to survive, even if it makes you uncomfortable, because maybe within that discomfort, you will learn to grow, and you'll learn maybe that you can withstand and take more than you give yourself credit for. I've already made it through a week of this day job, and I know it's gonna be tough, but I know that I can do it. It's not even really a question of will I be capable of doing this. I know that this is just what is going to happen, that I am going to do it no matter what. Never stop chasing your dreams and goals, because anything worth doing is not going to be easy. And I know it's a tough time for a lot of different groups of people all over the world, but artists, hang in there, because the world would be a bleak, colorless place without us. And hopefully sooner than later, more people are gonna realize that. Nothing is hopeless, it's just hard. You put those hours in and look at what you get. Nothing that you can hold, but everything that it is. So keep going.